Hello my friends, welcome to another exciting episode in our Photoshop design series. In this video I'll be showing you how I created this flyer in Photoshop. If you've not subscribed to my channel, now is the right time to subscribe to my channel. And don't forget to turn on post notifications so that you don't miss any of the videos I'll be dropping anytime from now. Of course, I'll be giving out free PSD files for 5% that will get the code inside of this video. So if you get the code, you know the drill. Drop it on the group and make sure you're one of the 5%. Make sure you watch to the end. Without having to say much, let's get started. So the first thing I like to do is go over to file and click on new like this, and I'm just going to change this from pixel to inches, and I'm just going to give this a name since I'm going to be posting this on Instagram. So it's going to be burger poster, and yeah, Instagram like this. Alright, so I'm just going to write Insta like this, and I'm just going to change the size from 4:5 like this, and resolution stays at 300, and of course inches, and everything else here stays the same. You can just go ahead and press create. Okay, so first things first, the first thing you want to do is work with the background, right? So to do that, what I'll just do first is I'm just going to go over to my adjustment layer, which is this place here. Click here and click solid color. So I'm just going to define my color. I'm just going to use this. It's also subject to change later, so you can just copy this code for now and make use of it, right? Okay, so that's like the first thing to do. So the next thing I want to do is work continuously on the background. I'll go over to my rectangle tool, and I'm just going to draw a rectangle like this. Make sure it's not too wide, just something like this. Double click on the thumbnail to change the color to white, right? Click OK. So what I want to do with this is very simple. Make extra copies of this. So Ctrl J, I'm just going to move it aside. You can zoom close with your scroll wheel, and Ctrl J to move it like this. And I'm going to do again, so you can see selecting it now. Let me select this one, selecting it, so you can see that I have the same space in between the three of them. So this is 18, 18, 18, 18, right? So make sure yours is close to this or even the same way as mine is. So I'm going to select all of them, Ctrl Z, hold down shift while I compress them like this, and move them to the middle like this. Okay, so still hold down shift and extend this a little bit. I might still take this up later on, so it's also subject to change based on how the design goes, right? So I'm just going to leave this like this, leave it this way. You can see, let me zoom closer. I'm leaving it this way. So when you're done with everything, you're good with the position you want it to be, press enter, and right click and convert it to smart object. So I just converted the 4 shapes to one image by converting them to smart object, right? Great, but make sure you change the color before you convert to smart object, right? Great. So I'm just going to use that same technique to move this upward a bit. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to make a duplicate copy of this. So Ctrl J to duplicate this, and I'm just going to drag this down, right? So I have a second copy. Let me bring this out so you can see it well. So this is the second copy, right? So I'm just going to place this back manually like this, and I'm just going to do one more thing to it. I'm just going to add perspective to it like this, right? Make sure it's in the middle like this. So click on Ctrl T. What you want to do is hold down Ctrl while you extend this point here like this, and also extend this point here like this. All right, so hold down Ctrl. I'm just using Ctrl to adjust this. I'm just tweaking this to suit what I want to do, right? Great. Hold down Ctrl while you drag this down from this point like this, right? Hold down Ctrl to adjust this point here. Hold down Ctrl to adjust this point here. You can see how that is very easy. So I can bring this down again, an extra notch, and take this up, just so everything is straight. You have everything well organized like this. All right, so click enter when you're done. So I want to make adjustment to this one. What I'll just do is press Ctrl T and just compress, right? Hold down Shift. I'm holding down Shift, compress like this, like this. You can zoom closer so you're seeing everything you're doing in real time. So here we go. So you can see that it's actually in line, right? Great. So what you want to do is go on this layer, make sure you're on that layer, go over to your rectangle tool and draw a rectangle like this that goes from that point to this point. Double click on the thumbnail and select this color, right? And click on brightness. That's what the B actually stands for, and move it to a brighter region, still under that same orange, right? So in case you want this, double click and this is change it back to HSB, and that's the color code there, so you can use that too. Great. Okay, so this is the color code. I just figured out that you might not have gotten that, so this is the color code, so you can copy it and use on your shape directly, right? So then this is the shape for the background, so we can use that also, right? That's the color code I meant. So what you want to do next is select this one here, go over to filter, go to blur, and this time we'll be doing something different. We'll be using tilt shift. Now this is how this works, right? So the goal of this is I want to blur the upper regions and I want to leave that part, so I'm just going to leave it here. What you should work on is the blur aspect. So the blur, you can copy my settings 15 and distortion 0. Then you can copy my settings for the highlights, the color, the brightness, and the amount, right? So I want to bump this up just a little bit, so I think I'm okay with this, and when I'm done I'm just going to click OK. So it's just going to effect the change, and boom, there you go. That's what I created. So I'm going to do the same thing too for this one also. So what I'm going to do is I'm going over to filter and I'm going to select this. Of course with this one I'm just going to increase it the more. I think something around here is fine, right? So I'm just going to click OK when I'm done like this. Great. Okay, so I'm just going to go over to my resource file. I'm going over to my resource file and I'm just going to bring in my one and only resource inside of this video, right? So I'm just going to drag this bugger, and basically what I'm doing is drag and drop, right? So I'm dragging and I'm dropping like this. Okay, so I'm just going to adjust this, make it smaller, hold down the Alt key while reducing it like this. So I'm reducing proportionally on all sides, right? So I'm just going to drag this down here like this, and I'm going to position this here this way. Click enter to place it inside, right? So let me zoom close so I'm seeing what I'm doing in real time. Okay, so what I want to do next is still on this, I'm going to make a duplicate copy of this, Ctrl J, and I'm just going to make this one smaller, right? And I'm going to put it to the edge here like this, law of perspective. Click enter and I'm going to drag this below the big one, right? You can see it's in the right place. So still selecting this one, you want to move it upwards like this, law of perspective, and Ctrl T, still make it smaller like this. Okay, so what you want to do next is I'm going to move this big one aside. While selecting the small one, I'm just going to go back to blur. This time I'm going to use Gaussian blur, right? So you can copy my settings for this also. So when you're done, click OK like this. Okay, great. So what you want to do next is select the 2 of them, so you can now okay, so I'm just going to come on this layer here like this. I'm creating a new layer. I'm going over to my brush, make sure your cap lock is turned off and you're selecting the black color. Just click twice, right, to create a shadow. Ctrl T on the shadow and hold down shift while you bring this down like this. right? Something like this is good and perfect. So you have a nice, you can choose to increase the size like this, so you have a nice cast shadow for the burger. So I'm just going to duplicate this and apply it to the other one too. So good, and I'm just going to Ctrl T while I move this around and position this one here. You can see how nice this is, right? So you can do another Ctrl J for that one at the back, so you have 3 shadows all together, right? So to keep all these things intact, so when I want to move, I am moving. So I'm just going to select, before I do my selection, let me just duplicate this one. I made a extra copy of this one. So I'm just going to rotate. Let me just do everything that has to do with the burgers first, and I'm going to position this one here. Okay, so that didn't go well. Okay, so a little bit of a glitch. Ctrl T again, make this bigger slightly, not too much. Alright, somewhere around this area is good. So I'm going to flip it like this using these arrows, and you're good to go. Right, so I'm going to apply blur, go to blur, and this time I'm applying motion blur. So you can copy my settings also for this, and when you're done, just click OK like this. Right, great. Okie dokie. So duplicate this and bring this over to this angle here, right? Ctrl J and shift this to this angle here like this, and go over to filter. I'm just going to add Gaussian blur to this one, so you have motion and Gaussian blur together. So somewhere around there is perfect. So just click OK, and great. So I'm going over to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and I'm just going to add blur to this one also, right? So now that I have my burgers in place, I'm going to select this, select all the shadows. Okay, so I'm going to come beneath this one. I'm going to create a new layer and apply the shadow here like this, right? So make sure it's not too much. Okay, so great. So with this background, I want to change the color, so I'm just going to move the color up here like this, and yeah, I'm going to click OK, right? So the orange or the yellowish orange is brighter, right? So I want to increase the size of this, make sure it's not covering the shadow, right? You're still seeing the shadow, makes it more realistic. Okay, so select all of this with the shadows and move it downwards like this, and what you want to do is group them. So Ctrl G does that easily. So I can now rename this and give it main burger. Okay, so good. So this is the main burger. So I can move this upward or downwards like this, whichever way works. It's perfect. I can now extend this one here, make it somewhat bigger so that I have space. Remember, I'm holding shift to do that, right? Great. Okay, so we are halfway through this already. We still have so many important things to do. So create a new layer here, select this color and go up slightly like this, and what you want to do is click OK. So what you want to do with this is select your brush, make sure your flow is set to 100, and you can increase your brush size like this and dabble around this area to give it something that looks close to, no, that's not good. Okay, so just gently, don't need to be too much, just gently here, to give it what looks like a vignette effect. I hope I pronounced that right. So to give it that effect, that's why we're doing this, right? So leave it at normal, right? So leave this like this. So the next thing you want to do is now that that's out of the way, okay, so to make it more spicy and select this layer, create a new layer directly above it like this. What you want to do is double click on the foreground color, change the color here. I'm going to use this now this time. Click OK. What you want to do is similar to what we did for the first one, but now we're just going to be targeting the lower parts like this, the lower regions, and change the blend mode to multiply. So I can apply, and just this lower part here, it shouldn't be too much, just this part here like this, and there you go. So nice and easy, right? So now that that's out of the way, let's do some other things, right? So go to your rectangle to select your rectangle, select the rectangle here, and what you want to draw is, of course, you draw a rectangle like this. Now it's not a proportional shape, it's just a rectangle, right, like this. Double click on the thumbnail, and this is the color code I'm going to be using for this one. Click OK, and I'm just going to make a duplicate copy of this. So Ctrl J, and bring this downwards like this. For this one, I'm just going to use a red color. So double click on the thumbnail and select a red. No, that's not red. So yes, this, I'm going to use this. I might change this later on, right? So just a few things you want. Just I need this red to be bright, so I'm just going to use that, right? So click on the two of them, take it upward like this, and I think it's fine and nice where it is here like this. Okay, so to just add a little bit of twist and turns to these shapes, what you want to do is select this one first, right, like this, and what you want to do is go over to your pen tool, make sure you set to shape. I hope you know pen tool is one of the most important tool inside of Photoshop. In fact, any of the softwares you use to design, Illustrator, CorelDRAW, Affinity Design, you need to know how to master how to use the pen tool. So select this one, the two of them, press Ctrl E to make it one shape, so you can see it's just one shape like this, right? So in all you do, make sure you know how to use the pen tool. It's very, very important, right? You can imagine creating compositions or flyers inside of Photoshop, complex flyers, they're complex and they're easy flyers. Ctrl E for this to merge this, and you don't know how to use the pen tool, right? So whatever you do, just make sure you master that, right? So let's take this a step further. Let's go to the next level. So what I want to do is still selecting this one, right? Okay, create a layer directly above it, and right click and create clipping mask. So everything you are going to be doing is just going to affect only the shape alone. That's what it means, right? So what you want to do is go over to your ellipse tool, this one here, and you're going to draw an ellipse like this, right? Double click and select this color here like this, and click OK. So what you want to do is rotate it like this, and click enter when you're done, right? So what you want to do is, we don't want it like this, so we want to just feed out some areas. So mask it, create a mask like this, and what you want to do is go over to your brush, make it smaller, and gently rub off these areas like this, like this. So what you want to do is reduce the opacity like this, and boom, this is what you're left with. So right, so nice. So as to not repeat this whole process and everything, so duplicate this, Ctrl J, and drag it directly above the red, and right click and create clipping mask like this. It's not obvious now because it's not on top of it and we're not using the right color. So when you finally bring this down here like this, click enter, right? This is it. Double click on the thumbnail and select this color here. You can see how much difference that has made. So you can move over to the lighter regions and click OK like this. Right, great. So that you have that out of the way now. So I'm just going to go over and go to my text tool and type a few things there. So the font I'm going to be using is Bovin, right? So it's going to be Bovin, just like my last tutorial, right, where I used the font. So I'm just going to use Bovin here also. So if I type best, I'm going to change the color first. I'm going to use this color, right? So I'm going to change the font to Bovin 1. That's the color. So I'm just going to go ahead and make adjustments to the what I want this text to be all about. So I'm just going to write a few things. Best price. Click on selection to Control T. I like using selection to and transform to adjust my text and my fonts, right? So I'm just gonna drag it up here like this, not too much. I think I should select the 12 of them and move it upwards. And okay, move it up. That's too much. Control T and just move this down here like this. It should be in the middle, right? And press enter. So I'm just going to go on and duplicate this while I use it for the red itself. Okay, so now that that is out of the way, go over to this layer and create a new layer directly above it. What you want to do is go over to your pen tool, make sure it's set to shape, and that's the color I'll be using, right? So I'm just going to go click here, right? And yeah, good. Click here and finish it up somewhere around here. So double click here and I'm just going to select this color here, that because this is more like a shadow too also, right? So create a mask for it, click on G on your keyboard and drag from this point to this point. Now make sure this is check marked. If this is not check marked, this is what you end up doing, right? So click on it, check mark it and do the reverse. So do this way and voila, good, you're good to go. So what you want to do is convert to smart objects, go to filter and go to blur and Gaussian blur like this, and yeah, that's the way to go, right? So you can use my settings for this also, and yeah, you're good to go. Okay, so moving on, let's move on to the next thing, right? So what you want to do right about now is go ahead and let's see. Okay, so I'll just type out the other things. So I'm just going to go over to my text, and this time I'm not going to use Bovin. I'm just going to select the text that I use or the typeface that I use, and I'm just going to use I think I'll just search. So it's actually arsenic, and I'm just going to use this. Great. So I'm going to change the color, double click here and select this color here, and I'm just going to move this in place here like this. Ctrl T, hold down your Alt key while you make this bigger like this way. Okay, so that's good. So I'm just going to, I need to type something else actually. That's what I want to do now. So let me see what I need to correct. Okay, everything's intact. Duplicate debugger, Ctrl J, and move this upward while you type what you want to type. So double click on the thumbnail to activate the text tool, and just type delicious like this, and Control T. I'm just going to look for the font I use, which is Gochi Hand. So if you're a Canva user, you should be very acquainted to this font, right? So I'm just going to move this to this point here, and it appears to be too big, so, and the space in between is just too small, so I'm just going to space it out just a little bit. Good, -10, and I'm just going to make it smaller like this, so it's going to be delicious burger this way. Great. Okay, so right about now, select these two of them, that's delicious and the burger. Ctrl G to group them. So I'm just going to group them, Ctrl G, and double click on this place. You just rename this. I'm just going to give it DB, which is delicious burger. It's not too deep, right? Create a new layer here, and I want to select this color and click OK. So, and set it to screen. What you want to do is, I'm just going to go gently on these areas, and I'm just going to create a glow like effect like this, and of course just where that delicious burger is, just somewhere around that area like this. What you want to do is reduce the opacity like this. Okay, great. So I'm just going to go ahead and impute the rest of my text while I speed this up. Okay, so that does it, and I'm going to go to the top layer, and I'm going to create a color balance adjustment layer, right? Most times at the end of the day, you just have to settle for color balancing the whole image so everything looks great overall. So with this, I'm going to start with the midtones. You can just copy my settings, and I'm going to go over to the highlights, and I'm just going to do this. That's too much. Good. And for shadows, I'm just going to slightly go over to this part here. So this is before and this is after. You can see it makes it more punchy and all of that, right? Great. So I'm just going to come over to this part here, which is the first one, the first background. Go to filter, go to noise, add noise, and convert to smart objects, right? So make sure it's not too much. When it gets too much like this, it begins to lose its real sense, right? So click on this and make it this way. Alright guys, this is how I created this poster inside of Photoshop. If you like my video, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and turn on post notifications so you will not miss any other videos I'll be dropping anytime from now. I'll see you in the next video. I love you.